Wiggle Culture here, giving you an update on solar panels, the platform, catwalk I'm making. My greenhouse is slightly off east to west. Either the compass I used to build it or this new Walmart compass, one or the other is off. I don't have the other compass, but when I built this I was dead on east-west. But as you can see, I'm 10 degrees off east to west, slightly to the southwest, but that's all right. So anyway, on my platform here, here's the top of the greenhouse. I'm going to build some tilting solar panels, and I'm also going to put some on the right side of the platform here. I have two sets with the walkway here in the middle. So it's going on 10/30/11 May, so the sun is hitting this whole roof pretty well. So as I got all these trees up here, so due south will be more and more shaded later in the season, later in the year. I'm thinking of putting perhaps some more panels back here and giving them more of a west orientation, just to see. I want to put all of my panels in the footprint of buildings, so I'm not using up land and shading out somewhere I could grow something with solar panels. Back on the north side of these buildings, if you put the panels high on the back side, it's really not going to shade anything that matters as far as growing. So it's just kind of the best place to put them. So I'll show you more when I get to installing these panels. I'm going to make my own mounts, put some hinges on there so I can change the angle and get maybe a 5% efficiency between the seasons by adjusting between 30 to 78 degrees, I think it is for my latitude here, between 38 and 39 degrees north. So I'm going to show you one of my ideas for my mountings. So here I am in the garden, and I was going to show you what I'm working on this morning. However, I'm going to show you my mounting ideas. Galvanized metal studs. These were old when I got them. I know they're a little rusty. The point is that's just a few metal screws. And this thing is held up over the years. It's been knocked over by cows and all this. This old free panel I got half cells, which is nice. But it had a hole through it. Where I got it from, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was free when I bought another panel off a guy. It's all cracked and everything, but it does put out a little bit, like 40 or 50 watts or something. So I use it to power those lights on those grow beds over there, or those low tunnels. And they're on now. So, but it's more for the winter than But anyway, the idea was to maybe try to use some of this metal studs as my framing. I mean, they could hold up, and it sure will be easy to work with and not very expensive. I have a whole bunch of scrap metal studs, little short pieces and longer pieces, and I'm going to see if that actually works out. So what I'm working on as far as the garden, brought in some more fertility on this mound. It was really not very good soil through here. Now this is a kind of a special spot in the garden at this point. We're getting plenty of shade most of the day, because I am basically facing, this will be, yeah, basically west to the front of the camera here. So just during the high point of the day, this is my son. He's gonna come over this way. So this is a fairly shady spot, and my water, two most important things, water and sun. Water's coming in through this gate. So today we're going to do some earthworks. I designed my water to come in through my gates on purpose, because you're walking, compacting, you're going to be aware of any erosion because you're right there, it's right underfoot, and you're not washing through a grow bed or something. I always bring my water through my gates when possible. So that water has been coming down the hill, and it's running kind of back upward, and it's actually washing out right there. So I'm going to end that. I'm going to fill this in with dirt right here and push all this water to the downhill side like it used to. So it's going to go underneath the panel and this way. Now my point would be, most of my water is going right where that tray is, downhill and that way. This part is fairly dry. So I'm going to put a sill right there at the very tip of this bed, and that way this water will fill up, and I'm going to try to get it running through here to really increase the fertility, because it's just too dry up here. It's not terrible, but it's mostly rainfall. I like to have rainfall plus groundwater in the ditches. Now right here is a walkway, new walkway we're putting in on this bed. So I'm going to put another pile of dirt right there where the empty pot is, and that will push my water. Let me turn it around. As it fills up, it's going to pool up, and then I want to spill out here into the same bed it would be going to anyway. I'm just trying to increase the water on this upside of this bed. If I can get more water here, as it pushes through, it'll keep the whole thing moist. Even the dry back side, it'll help quite a bit. And I put in a lot of hay manure here under these trees, just to choke back the weeds and to get compost going type thing. So it is late in the season now for what I'm going to be doing, but I want to get a corn salad, corn mache, and I want to get my miner's lettuce, which is over there in that tray. There's a little bit of corn salad, and also Minutina, which is a type of plantain. It's a really great cold hardy green. So I'm trying to get all three of those going in here. Miner's lettuce, Minutina, and corn salad. I'm going to use this shady spot and increase the water. I don't think I'm going to hurt along here too bad. That sill is not going to be that high. When this all fills up, it will start to spill over and hopefully continue to water this mound. I know it's fairly wet because I have all that chickweed growing up there. It is drying out and dying, so the hill is drying out later in the season, but it's still supporting those onions just fine. So anyway, we're going to do a little earthworks, and then we're also going to put a little hay down, start trying to get ready for the weedy season, the bad weeds. You see all the lamb's quarter coming up. I start seeing lamb's quarter coming up, I know it's close time to put tomatoes and peppers in. I'm going to wait just a little longer, but it's getting close. So anyway, we're going to do a little earthworks, and I'm going to get more of these plants put in the ground. This is all just freshly replanted from stuff that when I was tilling my aisles to get my compost up. These were just little volunteers, so I just replanted them up here. Garlic and Egyptian walking onions. And up there I've got kale, and more in the sunny spots. Hopefully it's not too dry. We'll see if we can fix that. As long as we can get this mound watered, every time it rains, it should be fine. More down here on this lower half of this mound, we'll see how it goes. Got some potatoes from last year going there. So we will see how our waterworks turn out and how our plants like it. A little Swiss chard there. Down at the end I got some onions. So this is all a whole new bed. We'll see what kind of food we get out of it. And I'll show you a picture of the earthworks when we get down here in a little bit. Wiggle checking back in here. Yeah, I hit an old piece of lawn edging I was using to hold the driveway in place. Kept washing out there years ago. Forgot that thing was in there. What it did, uphill, coming down, I have a little spot up by that tree. Doesn't look like much now, but it's designed to pull water off the road, bring it in to feed these ditches in between these cold frames. So now I've just done a little bit bigger one here, pulled that water in, and the idea is that it'll feed this ditch and that ditch as it fills in. Hopefully it won't run over the mound, it'll fill in these ditches. It should make its way down to here and then go on out that way, down there. This traditionally stays pretty wet through here. We'll see how much I changed the flow of water. You can see that muddy spot down there. It's drying out now, but that's still fairly moist. It's been a number of days since we had any rain. So I think these beds will stay fairly wet through the summer. We shall see. They're not wet, but have moisture in there. Now we have this gate here. As I said earlier, I try to have the water coming through my gates. That's a nice size little ditch there. Nice little contour bringing the water in. I was splitting the water back towards me here, but now we put in this dirt right here. A mound there, and then there's a mound here under the hay. Can't really see it, but it's designed to bring all this water right under that solar panel basically. So I also put in dirt here. The water used to definitely go straight down this hill. But now I put it in this mound, I built this up a little, and now the water should go to the right, which is technically uphill, if you would. But I'm going to try to take the water that was running right through here and up to that hay up there. Never really held much water. It would fill up to about where that other path is. So down where that scoop shovel is, all of that would stay. It'll hold water and it'd sit there maybe not a whole day, but it would hold water after a good rain. Then it'd seep in. Up here we never really held water, so I'm trying to change that, because this mound to the left, I am now choking it off by putting in this little sill here to hold back. This mound is now going to theoretically be drier because more of the water is going to be going to the right. So what I've done, all this is actually lower than it looks. It's just got a lot of hay on it. Put in another mound right here. So that water comes down, hits this mound, turns and goes down this walkway. So the water that used to go down the right ditch now comes down the left ditch and then goes back into the right ditch. In addition to that, I put in another little ramp off of the road there, changed the grading. Now more of that water coming down that hill is going to end up coming right through here. And I'm not sure exactly where it's going to line up. I don't necessarily need it to end up on the uphill side of that mound. More likely I'm going to want it to land down here on the left or the near side of this mound, coming through the fence there this way, and then on down to water all of this. Most of the water from this other gate, it comes in, mostly goes that way and that way. It doesn't really come back this way so much. It might backfill this first ditch. But again, these few beds in here are going to be dry. So I'm using that water in here to hopefully keep this nice and moist. If I have to, I'll put a sill right here across this bed to hold the water back up on this side. We'll see how it goes when we get a good rain. So now what I've done is created a situation where all these they were kind of dry, poor beds, especially that one with the apple tree right there. That was a very poor performing. It was just a lot of clay, just subsoil really, and some erosion on it, and it wasn't doing well. It didn't get enough water, so nothing really thrives there. I'm trying to use my water further up the hill, hold it up there, and improve my fertility in that bed, which I think is going to work. And then that will feed the apple tree and those blueberry bushes years to come, and I'll put in some more layers, some more vertical layers when I see how the soil's doing. We did put a bunch of kale in today, took it out of a bunch of planters and pot stuff from the greenhouse. It was in not great shape. It's definitely late in the season, but we're going to see what we can get out of it. So that's a Russian red kale, definitely a winter crop, but we'll try to get some leaves off of it. If it goes to seed, I won't mind. We'll just let it go to seed. Just see what we can get out of it. So anyway, here's the mound. And with the water coming down here, I have put the next little hill to the right of my actual walkway, because I want this water coming over, spilling down here. I want it to backfill. That little ditch is fairly level up to where the ramp part's running it downhill. I'm going to see how much water I can hold up here to really help these strawberries, to again help the apple tree, help the plums over there. This is traditionally a very dry part. This is an extra high mound here. You can see the mullen growing. Mullen likes the deep dry, it likes the dry, so it gets down deep and waters itself. And again, the sage is doing well, so sage is not one that needs just a whole ton of water, so you know it's fairly dry up here. The thyme died off, which again will indicate kind of dry. Not terrible, because we do have these onions that are holding out. And those strawberries go fairly far up the hill there. So, but this is somewhat of a dry patch. So we'll see if filling this with water can increase the moisture on this mound. Bring maybe a couple inches more of, raise the water table basically underneath that mound a few inches, which would be great. Because I'd rather it seep in and then go across contour through the bed into this other ditch. So this is probably 8 to 10 inches higher than this. So this will be holding water. That's 8 inches of water on this side, if this mound was equally soaked. But the mound honestly never gets soaked all the way. But if your water's making its way downhill, we're holding it in these hills. That's what I'm trying to do. Trying to slow it down enough where it's not eroding anything and soaking it in as much as we can without creating ponds. And we're always adjusting it, and your adjustments get smaller and smaller. I'm still making big adjustments, but I'm learning as I go. And I have no doubt that this little bit will, when the water fills up here, it will spill over where that cell was. This is a very nice and moist spot here. Again, this mound's traditionally on the right. It's been a little bit on the dry side, especially up where the oregano's at. So we're trying to increase the moisture. So I'll be soaking in water up there, soaking in water down here, and hopefully everybody will be a little happier. Because it has been just a bit dry up here, just because most of the water was going straight down this valley I'm standing in, and it would just go on down and do its thing. It wasn't doing much to the upper right here, but that gate, there was a lot of water coming in through there. So we had just this kind of little desert here. So hopefully it will just become lush like the rest of the garden. We shall see how that works. So I got my 3 winter leafy greens in there, Minutina, corn salad, and miner's lettuce, which is a cousin to the chickweed. I like it even better than chickweed. If I could have this whole thing covered in miner's lettuce, I would be happy. But we shall see how it goes. This little strawberry here will kind of be an indicator to me if I rob too much water from this slope. But I can always take some dirt off of that sill there. If we're holding water up here and it's ponding, then we can get it to spill over the spillway. So we just take a little dirt off and fine tune it. I just took a guess at it. So we'll see if that strawberry starts to die off. We know that we changed the water too much. So that's all I've got for now.